What's up, guys? Welcome to your 23rd Java tutorial, and before we get into it, I kind of want to give you guys a warning because this tutorial might get a little bit advanced because we're working with loops inside of other loops, and there's brackets all over the place. So I wanted to show you guys kind of what the code looks like at the end and what our end goal is, what we're actually developing or adding on to our little game. If you guys played it a few times, but what I was curious about is some of the statistics. If how many positions in our array we had, how that would affect our win result, and all that stuff. So as you can see, this is the end of our code. So it's still kind of short, but it's kind of complicated or complex. So let's just save this. I'm going to show you the application ran down here. This is kind of the desired result. This is our chance of winning a game that has 10 positions within the array. Should probably change the spelling, but it's going to be messed up for the tutorial anyways. But as you can see, we added some new variable types and all that stuff. But again, if you guys get confused or lost during this tutorial, don't worry, stick with Java. It's going to be awesome, and you guys will learn it later down the road. I just wanted to kind of elaborate for those of you that wanted to see how an application is in process and how efficient and effective Java can be for solving statistics like this. So enjoy the tutorial. I'll get you guys caught up to where you should be right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable. We're going to call this one int. It's going to be int type, and we're going to say num of games. So the numbers of games we want to play at least 100 to get some good statistics, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to set up a Boolean array. So yeah, you can do arrays with Boolean values as well. We're going to call this one odds, and we're going to set odds equal to a new Boolean array. And how many positions do we want within this Boolean array is we're going to set this equal to our number of games. So 100 positions. And also, just by default, when we set up something like this, each position is going to be equal to false. So all 100 positions of our game is going to be equal to false. Just like when we set up an integer array, each position is equal to 0. When we set up a Boolean array like this, each position is equal to false. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to set up a initial int variable. We're going to set this variable to be a. We're going to set this equal to be 0 to start with. What we're going to do is we're going to create a while loop that cycles through however many times we enter here, however many games we want to play. That encompasses our whole game. So pretty much here's our ending brackets, so just keep that in mind. We have 2 at the end that covers our main and our starting point, so we want to keep those there, and then we want to create a while loop that surrounds everything. And I'll format this here in a second so it's not too confusing. So we're going to say while a is less than the number of games. We're going to do whatever is within these brackets here. I'm going to cut this bracket and paste it down below here. So now let me Control Shift format, and we get some nice lines of code here. Or hopefully you guys don't get too lost with all these brackets we have going on. But you should have 4 brackets at the very bottom, and then everything else that we've developed. So there we go. We're going to cycle through, but we need to add to A, otherwise our application is going to crash. So right above our third bracket from the bottom, we're just going to say A++. And that'll add 1 to A, and we'll cycle through 100 times. Pretty sweet, huh? The next thing we want to do is we want to get rid of our system out prints that we created earlier, and because we don't want too many lines of code here. And we can get rid of this. You have 1, or we can keep that for now, but we're going to get rid of it here in a second. And within here, we're going to set up our odds, and we're going to give this the position of A. We're going to set A equal to be true. And we're going to delete out now our print statement. And we can also delete this else statement because we aren't going to set odds equal to false, because by default it's already set to false, like I said, when we set up that array. So we can just delete that there. And now we're going to set our position of A. Again, our while loop is cycling through A, starting at 0. And then once it gets here, 1 is going to be added to it. So A is now going to be equal to 1. And it's going to cycle through our while loop again until we play as many games as we specified here. Pretty neat, huh? And the last thing we want to do is we want to define our statistics. So let's go outside of our while loop. After we've played 100 games so far, this is where we're going to print out our statistics. So first thing we need to do is we need to determine how many true statements are within our Boolean array. So we're going to say another for loop, and again we're just going to specify int I is equal to 0 as long as I is less than num of games dot length, and we're going to say I plus plus. So again, it's pretty much the same way we set up our previous for loop, but this time again it's outside of our while loop. After we've played all 100 games, we're going to cycle through the while loop. And I'm sorry, this is supposed to be odds because we're testing our array, our Boolean array. So we're going to get the number of positions in our Boolean array. We're going to cycle through all those, and we're going to check for true statements. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 new variables. So we're going to call one num of wins. We're going to set this equal to be 0 to start with, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say if statement in here, odds at position I is equal to true, or again we don't even have to compare it to true because again this is a Boolean array. It will tell us if it's true or not, but if it is true, then we have won one game. So what we're going to do is we're going to say our num of wins is equal, or we're just going to add 1 to our number of wins. So again, our number of wins starts at 0, but if we did win a game, it's going to add 1 to it. After we cycle through all of our number of wins, we're going to figure out our statistics now. And since we're working with statistics, we want to create a double. And if this is completely confusing, guys, I can completely understand. I'm just kind of going above and beyond what we needed to do, kind of reviewing everything here. So we're going to say a double. We're going to set this double equal to %win. We're going to set this value equal to the number of wins, and we're going to divide this by the number of games played. And there we go. But lastly, what we want to do maybe is times this by 100 so we get a percentage. Because right now it'll be just like 1, 0, whatever. So we're just going to times this by 100. And there we go. We have our double value. Now all we're going to do is a system print out. We're going to do a print, and we're going to say percentage of wins, and then we're going to add a percentage sign, space of an array with, and we're going to create a new variable real quick, array num, which we haven't created yet. We're just going to say plus, and we're going to say positions. So believe it or not, we're almost done here. The last thing we need to do is we're going to set up another int value. We're going to call this array num. We're going to set this equal to 10, or basically however many numbers we want within our array. I'm going to paste this below here, and then all we're going to do is we're going to change our initial array setup here to be array number, or array num. Again, our original game we had 5 positions, and now it's just going to cycle through everything and print us out the percentage of wins again of our game. So let's save it and run it. And then also, yeah, because these numbers are integers, when we divide them, it's going to give us a result of an integer. So what we need to do is we just need to change these values to be doubles real quickly. So we're going to change our number of win to be a double as well, and we're also going to change our number of games to be a double, just so when we use that division later, it will give us more accurate result besides just 0. Now when we change number of games to be double, when we create our Boolean value based off the number of games, we need to cast it as an int as well. And then the last thing that we need to do is, again, when we check if our game result was true, then we add one, or we basically tell the position of our odds to be true as well, but we never set our game result back equal to true for the next time it cycles through. So the last thing we need to do is we just need to add game result to be equal to true again. So when it goes through our while loop, it's going to be set to true again. It's going to do our checking and everything as well. And now when we save this and run it, I give it a array number of 1. So basically we're just flipping a coin to see if that is divisible by 2 or not. So it should be around 50%. That time is about 43% out of 100 games. I bet if we, and then 56%, if we gave it a more lengthy number of games, such as 100,000 games, we should get closer to 50%, the way that statistics work. As you can see there, we're pretty close, and it should be around 50% most of the time. So that's pretty cool. Now let's just check it out if we have an array with 3 or 2 positions even, how that works out. So we're going to run it. We get a right around 25% chance of winning. But let's do something else that we can't really figure out in our head, like 10. I'm sure you can figure it out, but it's not even 10% of 1%. So it's pretty cool little statistics calculator here for our little game that we created. But again, guys, if you guys are confused with this, don't worry. I know we went way above and beyond what we needed to do. I just thought we, showing all this stuff is a pretty good review of everything that we've learned. This is a pretty good application to see how powerful Java can be. And with just a few changing of numbers up here, we can test out a lot of stuff. Hope you aren't too mad at me for, completely losing you guys. But guys, seriously, just stick with it, and Java will become like second nature to you. And if you guys are completely confused right now, you'll look back at this tutorial someday when you're showing your grandkids this tutorial, and you're like, dude, I was so lost. I had no idea what I was doing in this tutorial. But now it's just so easy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial. Have a good one.